with the STEM at this point in time, and considering we came to a conclusion that since none of us at the table were representative of the science, technology, and math, we decided to leave the curricular components to another group. So a lot of our focus ended up, and a lot of our discussion ended up being on the physical structure and how we can incorporate some of the specifically green technologies came into our discussion. The very first question talked about the image and what you see as the, what image defines the academy. One of the things we talked about right off the bat was Einstein, and just that whole concept of his philosophies and just the general common term. If you think science, technology, math, you think Einstein. And I know myself personally, I mentioned that classic Einstein picture of him with the crazy hair sticking his tongue out. That for me personally, that's one of my personal philosophies of education, that you can be very, very firm and very most dynamic educational mind and probably science mind that ever walked the earth, but yet you can still have that enjoyable side to what you're doing. We talked a lot about green technology and how we can incorporate that technology as a way for students to collect data in the STEM Academy. So with weather stations or other ways that they can use that, and then sharing the data, not only in math classes, statistics classes, environmental science, biology, all sorts of different areas. And then when we got into the physical component of it, the physical materials that you're going to use and how we can distinguish this academy from others, some of the materials we talked about as far as that aesthetic purpose were glass, making it transparent, a lot of natural daylight, very open, a very linear geometric design to it to give it that feel of the STEM Academy. We also talked about in general having some type of, to distinguish it from the social area, almost like a mural or something, that students as from year to year can share pieces to that and add on to it to make it their own, so as they come back in years past, they can see we had a say in that area. We also talked a lot about, as far as that visual component, you could have we talked about the evolution of technologies, how that could really grow from industrial age all the way to where we are now, and having that be part of it. And then when we tried to give some type of physical, some visual representation to it, we found it difficult because there are so many different components to it. But what we had here was our STEM academic hub in the middle, with our science, technology, engineering, and math stemming off from that. But within them, they share all sorts of information. They can share formulas. They can share data collection. They can share statistics and different calculations that can be cross-curricular in those areas. We also talked about the connection between a lot of the classes. For example, calculus and physics being very similar in some of the things that they do. And then again, the weather station at the bottom, how that can be something that can be utilized throughout all the different areas. So those were all right.
We had the Arts Academy, music and art, and since none of us are music or art oriented, by the way, we had an idea that some of us might not get to the actual area that is kind of our most area of interest. I don't know if we can do something about that, but we were kind of interested in actually getting to our area of interest. Anyway, we thought that it should showcase the people and be creative in some way, and I forget your name, I'm sorry. Glenn?
Glenn, yes.
We talked about the fact that our building is kind of linear now, and the hallways and the classrooms on either side, and to have something that was a little less linear for the more artistic people, have hubs for them. There might be classrooms on both sides, there might not. It might be an open area in the middle, not really sure. Operable windows, getting towards the aspect of the environmental aspect of it. Having sloped roofs that were more sustainable, made of more sustainable materials, that they lasted maybe 20, 30, 40 years instead of 10 years. The natural light, use recycled materials. Buses away from any air intake vents, because I know one of the problems with the math and English wing is when the buses are there, they intake the fumes. So since the Art Academy was kind of going over in that area, just to make sure that we don't redo that issue, have that problem. I think that was it. Anything else? Oh, Northern Light was mentioned because the art people, the people that draw, like the Northern Light because it's more constant and sustained. Is that it?
Yep. Good job.